Bring you down to show these pictures.
Look at this.
We need to make the kids scrapbooks and do stuff like that.
What's a People want to be in space and some of this stuff, Mom.
I'm gonna make like a flip book.
Look, I found one. Oh, two. Woohoo. Found two.
People working.
Take a picture. Take a picture of them.
Dude, it's not supposed to stop.
Sí, todo bien. Mira, ahí estás como que vienes. ¿Sí te acuerdas?
Pretty cool, huh?
Just imagine how long it
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world's largest toy box. We will begin with these round white and silver objects that you see that are either directly in front of you or off to your right, depending upon where you're standing in the crowd. These are mock-ups or replicas of the modules that make up the International Space Station. If you look above them and against the back wall, you'll see a model of the station, some of its specifications. The station is 357 feet long. It orbits anywhere from 210 to 280 miles above the Earth. And the blue panels that you see on the left and the right represent solar panels which provide electrical power to the station. Just to give you an idea of overall size, each one of those solar panels is about the size of a tennis court, and the inside occupancy size of the International Space Station is equivalent to that of a 5-bedroom house. The very first module was launched into space on a Russian rocket in 1998. That was the Zarya module. That's the long white one that you see in the middle down there, the one with the plaques on it. And over the next 13 years, the rest of the modules were delivered either on Russian rockets or on the NASA Space Shuttle program, and it was assembled while on orbit over those next several years. The plaques on the side of the Zarya module represent 66 different missions that have flown to the International Space Station, and it is a partnership of 15 different countries, which include the United States, Russia, Japan, Canada, and the European Space Agency, which is made up of 11 different countries. Astronauts do have to train here for up to 2 years before they can go up on station. They have to learn everything about the inside of each one of these modules, where everything is, how everything works, including the propulsion units and the airlocks. Each astronaut does spend about 4 to 6 months at a time on the station. When their tour is completed and it's time to return to Earth and be replaced by other astronauts, up until last May, the only method of transportation that we did have to and from the International Space Station for the last 9 years was on board the Russian Soyuz capsule. There is a model of that down in the front close to the viewing platform. It's that round green object that looks a lot like a giant olive with an inner tube sitting on top of it. After we canceled the Space Shuttle program in 2011, for the next 9 years, the Russian Soyuz was our only means of transport to and from the station until last May, when we started riding on the SpaceX Falcon 9 Crew Dragon. And that is currently our main ride to and from the International Space Station. That will be joined sometime later this year by Boeing on its Starliner capsule. And we'll too have 2 methods of transportation to and from the International Space Station. Down here in the front, directly in front of me, is this long white object that has 2 vertical solar panels on it. It's made by Dynetics. This is the newest addition here in the training facility. It's only been here for about a month. This will be one of the future habitats for our Moon and Mars missions. Will allow astronauts to stay on the Moon's surface instead of returning to Earth each time. It will be launched on a rocket, and it has its own set of rockets to descend to the Moon's surface. So that completes our first stop, folks. We're going to move on down to the second half of the building. We'll stop again, and I'll talk about some more objects when we get down there.
I just love so many videos to post.
My kind of popular.
I like being on high places because it makes me feel like one long video to make me focus on that. Give myself that.
This is really kind of training.
¿Puede ir a abrir una puerta, por favor? 20, 30, 35.
It's not the real thing, but it will.
It's exact replicas of what it
Of
is,
the real thing.
so they can come practice.
This is so they know where everything is. They know how to walk around in it.
Right.
If they got to work on something, they got to practice working on it. Like look right there. Look how it's confused.
Look at the Orion, Mom.
¿Por qué no hiciste eso tú? No había ya. Bueno, ahorita.
Look at Miss Rainey. There's a person. Oh, those robots.
Oh.
You have to send her that one.
Take a picture. I know, but
Look at the rover, Mom.
take a picture of that and just send it to her. Look, they have Amazon boxes.
That dude looks like that robot off of Iron Real Steel. Whoa.
Look at the green helmet.
They're fighting.
What's fighting?
Robots on the video.
Look at all the winners they won.
What for what?
First.
It definitely looks like a Lisa Rainey thing.
All right, folks, we'll begin with that large blue structure that you see against the back wall. This is a docking simulator. Docking, of course, meaning joining two spacecraft together while in space. When you see it on TV and in the movies, it looks pretty simple because it appears that the spacecraft are just floating out there, and joining the two together would be pretty easy. Actually, though, they are traveling at 17,500 miles per hour, because that is the speed necessary for any object to maintain Earth orbit. That is also the speed that the International Space Station flies, and because of that, it orbits the Earth once every 92 minutes. That means that the astronauts on board the station get to see a sunrise and a sunset every 46 minutes.
Wow.
Every half
To
hour.
the right of the docking simulator is the Orion space capsule. Orion is our next deep space exploration vehicle, which will take astronauts back to our own moon and eventually onto Mars. In the middle of the room in front of that large gray object that says Northrop Grumman.
I'm running out of time.
That's one of the main modules that will be used for our future lunar platform gateway. That will be a small space station in permanent orbit around our moon. It will allow astronauts to leave Earth and travel to the station and then make repeated trips down to the moon and back without having to return to Earth each time. And of course, in order to do that, we will have to have lunar landers stationed on the Gateway platform. An example of one of those is off to the right of the Orion capsule. It's a very tall structure that has the gold foil around the bottom of it. It's made by Blue Origin, and it is called Blue Moon, and it will be one of 3 landers that will be stationed on the platform Gateway to make repeated trips down to the moon and back. The other 2 companies that NASA's hired to come up with landers are still working on their prototypes. We don't have those in here for training just yet. Closer to the viewing platform, that black and white capsule with the blue railing around it is the Boeing Starliner. I mentioned in our first stop that will be one of the craft be used as transport to and from the International Space Station. Down here in the robotics section against the back wall, you'll see some blue banners that represent winners of different robotics competitions. NASA does allow local high school and college students that are into robotics to come here and work with them because the use of today is the future of the NASA space program. They'd like to get them off to a good start. As a matter of fact, based on the timeline for our Mars mission, the very first astronaut who steps foot on the planet Mars is probably right now in the 5th grade. Off to the far left is the Argos trainer. This allows them to simulate different levels of gravity, such as the gravity on the moon versus the gravity on Mars. It gives astronauts a feel for what it would be like to use tools in those different gravity situations.